Hello guys, welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be going over some interesting news which was just announced by 1939 about, well, as the title says, exciting things ahead for KARDS Esports in 2023. So there is going to be several major changes to existing things, some new things, um, and yeah, I'm going to explain it all because I've seen a lot of people misunderstanding or just completely missing certain elements of this because there's a lot of changes packed into a single article. And then at the end, well, as I go through, I will also give my thoughts about this. So yeah, let's begin. So, first up, dear KARDS players, we are excited to share with you details surrounding KARDS Esports in 2023. The KARDS Esports scene is an incredibly important and valuable part of KARDS. It is something that we intend to keep nurturing and continually seeking ways to evolve. And reflecting on the year that has just come to pass, we recognize the many successes of KARDS Esports in 2022 while also acknowledging the opportunities we now have to make adjustments, continue to develop, and seek to improve upon the existing esports foundation. So, with that, that's just sort of like the fluff beginning, but it does make some pretty valuable points, which is that KARDS Esports in 2022 did have some problems. Now, it definitely had some things going for it, but it had some pretty major issues. To me, personally, the fact that there was nothing new, it really felt stagnant. In terms of just no new formats. Also, it did not help that there was almost no new cards. It just really felt like going through the process over and over and over. And then at the end of the year, with the World Championship not being in Iceland, that was kind of like a low note to end the year on, rather than the high note that was the World Championship in Iceland for the first time in 2 years in 2021. So I'm glad that they recognized that there is room to improve and that they have a willingness and desire to improve and to change. That on its own, very good. So in 2023, the main competitive tracks will be the Officer Club Championships with the monthly OCC Clash and the quarterly OCC Ultimate. So we're going to get into that. That's probably the most contentious thing here. Then the KARDS Open, then KARDS Special Operations, which is the new thing, which we will also get into, and then lastly, KARDS 2023 World Championship. So, yeah, I'll also take this time to say that these announcements, even if you aren't actively competing in tournaments, if you have ever have any desire to play in any KARDS tournaments, you should make sure you fully understand these changes and voice your opinion about them. And even if you just enjoy watching tournaments or following tournaments, you should voice your opinion about this. And even if you think that you're never going to play in any tournaments, you should really pay attention to the KARDS Special Operations because that's probably by far the most like beginner-friendly tournaments that they're going to be introducing new this year. So there's something for everybody. Y'all should stick around. So they then have another paragraph here. The core competitive elements of esports will remain the same, with some adjustments. The OCC is a staple of KARDS Esports and a big motivation for players to try and reach the highest ladder positions they can to prove that they are among the best KARDS players out there. So with that being said, yes, I hope they also add more incentive to get a specific position in the rating, because right now the difference between 7th and 38th, there's basically none. So like as long as you're like top 30, you can just like immediately chill, and there's no benefit for getting first versus 6th. So like, yeah, there's nothing to really like. There's motivation to climb on ladder, but there's motivation to climb past very certain breaking points in ladder, and not anything to climb past that, which I think is something that they could improve in the future. And it's something that I wouldn't be surprised if they did improve in the future. The OCC experience is something we would like to expand on in 2023 to create an even more epic journey for our OCC participants, where on a quarterly basis, the most elite players have a chance to prove that they are the ultimate Officer Club champions of the previous 3 months. So again, this is just sort of like an introduction to all of the changes. KARDS Open tournaments will see some adjustments throughout the years. The first Open of the year We will add a bit more mystery into the fight for top spots, providing additional challenges and opportunity for Open participants. Additionally, we are expanding the Open prize pool, adding some diamonds and gold prizes. So, when I first read this, I thought that they were saying they are expanding the prize pool and adding diamonds and gold. As we will see later, I think what they mean is we are expanding the prize pool by adding diamonds and gold on top of the existing money. The amount of money for opens is staying the same. So yeah, this is sort of the first part where you could get confused on. But yeah, as we will see, the actual prize, the money prize pool for the open is staying the same. We're also introducing the new format, Special Operations, where a limited number of players participate in a special edition tournament with a different rule set. And then lastly, they have the KARDS World Championship in 2023 will be held in Iceland, with the participants flown to Iceland to compete in a land environment, which is amazing news. That is just huge news to get right out of the gate at the beginning of the year. We all have something to look forward to, which is the LAN in Iceland in December. So, first up, Officer Club Championship. Now, this is the one that's got everybody talking. So, in 2023, the OCC is going to be split into two main parts, the monthly OCC Clash and the quarterly OCC Ultimate. Through participation in OCC Clash tournaments, players earn points based on their performance. After the 3 OCC Clash tournaments, the 8 players with the highest point scores participate in the OCC Ultimate. The OCC Ultimate tournament features a $3,000 prize pool and a similar broadcast production to what many have grown accustomed to in the monthly OCCs of 2022, and also 2021 and 2020. The OCC has remained somewhat similar format for, well, since really it existed in the summer of 2020. So, with that being said, well, let's get into the points, because this will explain this slightly more. So the OCC Clash is the 38-player tournament, and all OCC Clash matches are best of 3s, which includes the finals. The top 6 players on the in-game ladder are automatically qualified. This is the same as it currently is. The 32 players will face off for the remaining 2 spots. This is the same as it currently is. So this is just the OCC qualification process. Nothing new here. The qualification for the remaining 2 spots is done through the 2-person 16 double elimination brackets. Each player will bring 3 decks to OCC. From 3 different main nations. All of this is the same, with the only difference being that the finals and 3rd place match are no longer best of 5s, everything is best of 3s. And then we get to the first big change. Videos with all the matches from OCC Clash events are premiered on the KARDS YouTube channel the weekend after they are played with commentary. So the OCC Clashes, the monthly tournaments, are not going to be live streamed. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I can adequately talk about this change, because it could be there could be several reasons, like behind the scenes reasons for this change. I will say I do feel like this is a negative change for the experience of watching and following KARDS Esports. So maybe they need to make this change for a variety of reasons. However, it is an unfortunate change to have to make, and if they did not have to make it, I would really hope they find a way to change this, because I think watching tournaments live adds quite a lot to it. I know playing in the tournaments live adds quite a lot to it. I mean, yeah, you want to be able to discuss with people as it's happening. You want to be able to talk about it immediately after it happened if you participated in it. They've done recorded OCCs in the past, in early 2021. That's what they did, and it was a all-around negative experience, and they ended up scrapping it to go back to live tournaments. So yeah, it's very odd to me why they are making this change. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But that is the first pretty major change. Through OCC Clash events, players earn points. The 8 players with the highest number of points after a 3-month period compete in the OCC Ultimate, a quarterly tournament featuring the most elite KARDS players of the previous 3 months. Now, on its own, this is an amazing change. Like, this is something that myself and many others have been asking for a long time. It's more of like a league format where you earn points based on achievements, and then you gain access to larger tournaments based on those achievements, so it actually incentivizes playing in as many KARDS tournaments as you can, trying to do as well in all of them as you can. rather than just sort of like these one-off monthly tournaments where you might have like complete random people show up, win a tournament, and then never play again. It really like incentivizes doing well over a prolonged period of time, which I think on its own amazing change. I'm really glad they're headed in this direction. Um, Now the execution of this change is where people start getting problems with it, because I don't think there's a lot of people who are upset with that on its own. The execution is where we start getting problems. The OCC points board will be updated on the KARDS.com website on a monthly basis following the OCC Clash video publication. They have not given any information about how the points will work. I'm worried that it's going to be a little too top heavy. So, for example, I think everybody who wins the OCC clashes should qualify to the OCC Ultimate. I think that's pretty fair. Um, but like for example, if somebody gets third in one of the OCC clashes and then doesn't show up to the other two, will they qualify ahead of somebody who shows up and gets fifth in all three tournaments? So I'm very curious to see the actual point breakdown here, of how it's going to work, because that will help people better conceptualize who exactly is going to be qualifying to this ultimate, OCC Ultimate. But again, this is just that's not a drawback from the system. It's just additional information needs to be provided about that. Then we get to sort of the big whammy. OCC Clash tournaments feature diamond and gold prizes for the top 8 participants. For the OCC Ultimate tournaments, players bring 4 decks from 4 different main nations. All OCC matches are going to be best of 5 series. This is a great change. This is just going to provide more opportunity for skill and like in play and skill in deck building lineups to have an effect on the outcome. So yeah, I'm a fan of best of 5s over best of 3s. Good change. Seeding for the OCC Ultimate is based on the OCC point system. The OCC Ultimate Tournament features a $3,000 prize pool and will be broadcasted live. Oh, actually, they have details about the point system. I missed that. We'll click on that in a second. Catch all the Officer Club Championships on the YouTube channel. And this is the prize breakdowns. This is where people are getting upset. And I think this is where people are pretty valid for getting upset. So this is the OCC Clash. So again, this is the monthly tournament where the top 6 from ladder plus the top 2 from the qualifications process battle it out, now in entirely best of 3s off stream. First place gets 2,000 diamonds, 1,000 gold. Second place 1,500, then 1,000, then 500, 1,000 gold for the top 4, and then increasing amounts of gold for the other players. This is something I don't understand, why there's a different gold amount for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. There's not currently a way to decide who get, like, currently, if you make it to OCC top 8, you play, you're going to have 4 players all losing in the quarterfinals, which means they all get 5th. So I guess this means that there's going to be, like, they're going to play out for the final spots, I guess. I'm not actually sure. But the big takeaway from this is there is no longer a money prize pool for the OCC clashes. The monthly OCC does not have a money prize pool. This is because every 3 months there's going to be a $3,000 prize pool for the OCC Ultimate. So it's the same amount of money across OCCs as all the previous years. It's $1,000 per event. It's just now it is $3,000 per 3 events for the Ultimate prize, which is fine. There's going to be some people who are going to want to see some small prizes for people who make it to the clashes. There's going to be some people who argue against that. I mean, I don't know 1939's finances. I don't know basically how much they can afford to give away for prize pools, so I'm not going to complain that they aren't increasing the prize pools. But to me, my biggest problem with all of this is the OCC Ultimate prizes, this $3,000 prize pool, 1,500 to first, 1,000 to second, 500 for third, and then 4th through 8th get diamonds and gold. And again, there's this question of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th all get different prizes. Is there going to be like twice as many games to determine 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, all best of 5s? Seems unlikely. I think this might have just been an oversight. But yes, the $3,000 prize pool is going to be split across 3 people. which means previously up to 9 different people would get their hands on a small amount of money. A, Now it is 3 people are going to be getting a lot of money. So the person who wins the OCC Ultimate is the prize equivalent of having won all 3 OCCs for that month. And I'm not a fan of this. I think that at the bare minimum, if they can't increase the total prize pool, I think at the bare minimum they should split it up so that everybody who makes it to OCC Ultimate gets something. So that means if you win an OCC Clash and you are guaranteed into the OCC Ultimate, it means you are guaranteed money. So there's not a prize pool for the clashes, but in a sense there is, because you will be guaranteed money if you make it to the Ultimate, and you're guaranteed to make it to the Ultimate if you get first. And you might be thinking, well, how are they going to do this? It's pretty easy. So just make it so the players who all get knocked out in the quarterfinals, the 4-way tie for 5th, each make 125 USD. Then you have 4th place make 250 USD, so a, a doubling of the prize for getting 5th. And then you have 3rd place get 200, or 3rd place gets 500 USD. So currently the same amount they make here, and again doubling it up from 4th. And then 2nd gets 750, so not quite doubling, but it's another 250 step up. And then you get 1st place gets 1,000. So it would still be, if you add all of that up, it adds up to 3,000. But it's being split much more evenly. It's going to be less top heavy. And what that means is the total amount of money up for grabs for any individual player will have actually decreased, since in the current system, if you win 3 consecutive OCCs, you will get $1,500. But in the system I am proposing, you would only get $1,000 if you win the OCC Ultimate. However, nobody has ever won 3 OCCs in a row. And I think $1,000 for 1st place, but you are guaranteed something, is going to make almost everybody more happy than one person getting $1,500 at the end of one singular tournament. And I think just that change, I think that just that would make all of these changes much more palatable. Because there's currently a lot of sort of uproar from people for a lot of reasons. So if you are somebody who constantly makes top 38 with the goal to make a top 8 OCC maybe once throughout the year, like you try to get top 38, you get top 38 the majority of the time, and then you play through the qualifiers with the goal of one day winning the qualifiers and making it into top 8. In the current system that they are proposing, you essentially will get nothing for it. Like, you'll get diamonds and gold, but diamonds and gold are meaningless to people with full collections. And the majority of the people who are going to be in these tournaments and placing high in these tournaments are people with full collections. And the only way for somebody to get money from this, if you're a top 38 player, is the one time you make top 8, you also then win top 8, like you win the Clash, which then gets you into the OCC Ultimate, and then you also have to win the OCC Ultimate. So if you're somebody who is struggling to make it into top 38 and struggling to make it through qualifiers, the only way for you to get money now is if you also win 2 consecutive tournaments on top of that, which is essentially never going to happen. You are essentially almost guaranteed putting all of the money into the hands of like the 4 or 5 players who are getting top 6 every month, therefore into OCC every month, therefore into the OCC Ultimate every month, and they are going to be performing the best in the Ultimate. And that's not inherently bad. I have argued in the past that there should be more things put in place so that better players more consistently do well in tournaments. I think that's all around net bonus, but in this case, it's sort of at the expense of all of the people wanting to get into tournaments. And there's people out there who will grind into a top 6 position maybe once every 3 or 4 months when they have the time, but very few people have the time to grind top 6 every single month for the chance to make money. I don't think that's fair to the people who put the time and effort into the game. And yeah, that's my honest opinion. I think this $3,000 prize pool should be split between top 8. And then there's other changes that could go along with this in the qualification process. I'm I for one think it would be interesting if they made the OCC Clashes a 16-person tournament rather than an 8-person tournament. That way there's more points up for grab, it's slightly easier to get into, more people get to play in a tournament and gain that experience and have that fun, even if they aren't getting money for it. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of changes that could be done for the OCC qualification process. Um, and I'm genuinely was surprised to see that there wasn't any changes to the qualification process. But this is just January. There's still room for them to listen to feedback. There's still room for them to make further changes to the system as we go throughout the year. Um, so yeah, don't grab your pitchforks and torches just yet. Um, we need to give 1939 a time to listen to feedback and announce any additional changes, and let's just see what this current system works. But yes, I think there's some very valid criticisms to make so far. Then we get to the KARDS Open. So the big changes to announce is the KARDS Open will now be held every 3 months instead of every 2 months. Um, the first KARDS Open tournament features a $1,500 prize pool and a much wider range of diamond and gold prizes, going all the way down to the top 32 participants. So the wording here is very interesting to me, as they say the first KARDS Open tournament features a $1,500 prize pool, so it seems like they are going to be making more changes to the open system as they go through, and maybe they haven't quite landed on what they want. I would hope that they would increase the prize pool a bit, and similarly to the OCC, I mean, KARDS Open already does a slightly better job of this because they pay out to top 4, so even if you end up 4th, you still get something. But maybe expand it out to top 8 potentially. Um, but yeah, it's every 3 months instead of every 2 months, but the prize pool has not gone up. So this is one where the net amount of money up for grabs in KARDS tournaments has gone down slightly. But again, it says the first KARDS Open tournament, so this is something that might change. And the Swiss round qualification is all exactly the same, but where the difference is top 16 will play like the Swiss round. So if you aren't familiar with the KARDS Open, the way it currently works is everybody registers and then you go through a Swiss round where you can, it's best of threes, and you can bring any deck you want. However, you have to win with 2 different nations. So if you bring Jagro game 1 and you win with it, you now have to bring any other deck you want. Your opponent doesn't know what deck it is. They don't know what's in the deck. They don't know what archetype it is, anything, but it just can't be Japan. And then in how it previously was is once you made it to top 16 would work like a more traditional tournament where you submit decks are public, you play a best of 3, your opponent gets to ban something. Now the top 16 to the top 4 will be exactly the same as the Swiss round, where you get to bring anything you want. And then once in the top 4, we get back to bring 4 decks. It's open deck lists, there's bans. The top 4 is the same, it's just top 16 to top 4, slightly different. And I don't have like a big opinion about this. I mean, it's different, let's see how it works. I could see it being more interesting because it differentiates it more from other tournaments. I could see it being slightly frustrating because it adds more of the open, like, rock, paper, scissors aspect to picking decks, which leads to a less competitive tournament overall. But again, we'll have to see. I'm not going to, like, say too much about that change currently. And then all of this information is essentially the same, but we get to look at the in-game rewards. So 17th to 32nd, which means that if you even get, if you get 9th to 16th in the Swiss round, you don't even qualify to the main event. You just get 9th to 16th in the Swiss round, you will be given 1,000 gold. So I think this is a great change. It further incentivizes people to play in the Opens, and the Opens are much more friendly to people of different collections than, say, the OCCs. So yeah, if you haven't previously been playing in the KARDS Opens, you should, because there's a decent chance that you're going to get your hands on 1,000 gold. Then we get to the KARDS Special Operations, which is the new format. It is a new tournament type entering KARDS Esports scene in 2023. These tournaments feature special formats which will vary throughout the year. The first special operations tournament will be Pauper, meaning that players' decks can only contain standard and limited rarity cards. Special tournaments have a limited number of seats with just 32 players competing in a double elimination bracket. You will only have to bring one deck that adheres to the rules for that given tournament. And all of the games are best of one series. This event is run completely in one weekend with the final four players playing on a live broadcast. The tournament format offers different sort of tournament experience to our players and a different viewing experience for our viewers. Prizes for this tournament feature diamonds, gold, and heaps of fun. So basically, it's signups are going to be announced, and the first 32 people who sign up, by the sounds of it, are going to get to play. Now, I'm not going to be signing up for this tournament because there's no money on the line, and I think it would be unfair for me to take a spot in these tournaments from somebody else since there is a limited number of spots. If you also have a full collection and regularly participate in tournaments, I would recommend doing the same, but again, I mean, it looks like a fun event, so I'm not going to blame anybody for signing up, regardless of their experience or collection size. But yeah, if you have a very small collection, you should 100% sign up with this. Limited in standards, you do not need a large collection to have access to any limiteds and standards of your choice. You get a ton of wildcards for them, and you only need one deck. So these tournaments are definitely the ones to like kind of dip your toes in the water, see if you like cards tournaments. And first place prize, 500 diamonds, 2,000 gold. I mean, that right there is enough to get you like Theaters of War, Legion's Uprising, or whatever you're missing. This all around really good. I'm kind of skeptical about the seemingly free-for-all nature of signing up. But as a whole, very interesting. I'm not sure how often these will be, and I'm curious as to what the other sort of formats they're going to try out. But all around, positive change. I'm looking forward to this. I think everybody should be really looking forward to this, and if you do not have a challenge.com account already, you should create one now so that you can register quicker once the registration is announced, because you are going to be racing against other players to get into these tournaments. And then lastly, but not least, it is the KARDS World Championship. Everything's going to be the same. $10,000 prize pool, with the top four going to Iceland. And there's going to be more details about the specific formats. I suspect it's going to be largely the same, but if there is differences, they'll probably announce it in like 8 or 9 months when it becomes relevant. The one thing I will say about this is I was kind of hoping they'd invite top 8 to participate, just because the more players you get to go, the more interesting it is, the more fun it is. But the fact that it's in Iceland again is already a huge step up from the last year. So this is great. And yeah, that's basically the end of the article. So opens, not changing a ton, they're just going to be slightly less frequent. These special operations, great opportunity for new players to get their hands on experience and potentially gold and diamonds. And then the OCC, man, OCC is going through by far the most drastic changes, and I hope they listen to feedback on this, because, I mean, look at this right here. You could theoretically win all 3 OCC clashes. You could get rank 1 on ladder 3 months in a row, go into the OCC clashes, win all 3 in a row, and then qualify to the OCC Ultimate, and then still land 4th. You win your first round, you lose your second round, you lose your third round, you get 4th, you get $0. Like, that person, if that is a theoretical situation, it would be incredibly impressive for anybody to manage to do all of that. But if that happened, that person would put in hundreds of hours into the game, on ladder, in tournaments, prepping for tournaments, put in the time, the blood, sweat, and tears into playing that, and they would get absolutely nothing. They would get 7,000 diamonds and 6,000 gold, and yet they probably have a full collection and therefore absolutely no way to even spend these resources. And like, oh my goodness, the difference between 4th and 5th. Like, currently in OCC with third getting $200, it already feels so bad getting fourth, because fourth gets absolutely nothing, third gets $200. In this version, you will have played through other tournaments to qualify for this. It's a 4 times per year situation, once per 3 months. And if you get into the third place match and you get fourth, you've just got nothing from the last 3 months of KARDS Esports. Like it can come down to one game if it goes to game 5. That is just such a terrible feeling. And yeah, when you're building tournaments like this, it should be about the viewing experience and the creating a positive experience for the players who are participating in the tournaments. And I think these changes, they're entirely well-intentioned. I'm really, really happy with the intention of these changes, 100%. I think they've just hit the mark on what the community was necessarily looking for, and I'm really hoping 1939 listens to community feedback and maybe makes some of these changes before they are fully implemented. And to end this off, I'm going to check out the OCC points thing, because honestly, I have not seen this before. I completely missed this. That didn't open it. Here we go. OCC points system. Let me... just move this over a bit so you can read it. OCC points system. The OCC points system is a framework within the most competitive KARDS. Players earn their place in the quarterly OCC Ultimate Tournament through playing monthly OCC Clash tournaments. After 3 months of OCC Clash tournaments, the 8 players with the highest number of points, yada yada yada. Top 6 are guaranteed through... Okay, so here's the actual point system. First place, 25 points. Second place, 18 points. Third place, 15 points. Fourth place, 12 points. And then 5th to 8th, 8 points. And if you make it to qualifiers, 4 points. That's pretty cool. I will say... Okay, so if somebody gets third in one tournament and then just gets into the qualifiers for the other 2 tournaments, that would be 23 points. And then if somebody makes it to 5th to 8th 3 times in a row, that would be 24 points. So that was like the clear breaking point for me personally, is just how much points do you get from guaranteeing yourself into top 8 every month, but you could have a bad 3 months and lose in the first round every time. So yeah, the answer is you'd get 24 points, which would give you a pretty good shot. However, 25 points for first place. 25 points for first place means that if you do win a tournament, you're probably guaranteed in. Yeah, okay. The point system's looking very good. I'm sure people will do more math and hypothetical situations, but this is my first time seeing it, so I'm not going to do that here. Looks good. Please note that failure to participate or dropping out mid-tournament, failure to participate or dropping out mid-tournament drops a player to the 9th or 38th bracket, giving them 4 points for that OCC event. So if you qualify for top 8 and then don't show up, like I did last OCC, or you'd like quit halfway through, you're going to get 4 points. OCC Ultimate Seeding is based on OCC standings. The first player faces off against the 8th, etc. OCC points are reset following every quarterly Ultimate Tournament. And this is the current standings. There is none. I'm curious how they're going to do tiebreakers. Because I could very easily see this coming down to tiebreakers. So, like, for example, somebody gets 4th twice and then doesn't play in the 3rd tournament versus somebody who gets top 8 3 times in a row, both on 24 points, who qualifies. I would assume it's like the person who gets the highest, the person with the single highest placement in that season. Yeah, I feel like the tiebreakers are going to become important, but we'll have to see. But anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have feedback you would like to give to 1939 about any of these suggestions, I would strongly recommend you do that. However, please, if you do that, please do it in a polite and respectful way, because these are well-intentioned changes, and they are trying their best. And sometimes we all make mistakes. It's a learning process. I mean, if you look back at the first OCC in May 2020 versus now, we've improved a lot, and there was some bumps along the road. So yeah, if you are going to give feedback to 1939, please do it respectfully. Please understand where they are coming from. And yeah, with that, that's the end of my video. That's the end of my thoughts on this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of cards competitive scene, just because there are changes. I mean, even if the changes aren't necessarily good, they could lead to better changes in the future. And yeah, it's been stagnant for several months now, and this is making me more excited than ever to participate in cards tournaments. And yeah, I hope you join me on my personal journey of participating in cards tournaments. We're going to get more recaps, breakdowns, etc., etc., etc. And if you want to watch all of those, then please subscribe, like, share, comment, grow the channel, YouTube things, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.